Hi and welcome to the second update on the simple shunting layout and OO Gauge. I'm going to talk about a few things. I got the track laid, a little bit of explanation about how I laid the track, a little bit talking about second-hand track, explaining what I've done and why, all on a budget of course. And then for those of you that stay a bit longer in the videos, I've got quite an interesting thing I've done on my Japanese shunting layout. That will get a video in its own right, but I thought I'd just give a little update on the end of this video for those that are following it. Interestingly, this hasn't, the OO, I had a lot of people saying, oh, when are you going to do OO again? When are you going to do OO again? I've done OO and actually not had an awful lot of views on the video, although some very nice comments. So if you are excited to see us doing OO again, perhaps spread the word and let's see what kind of views we can get for this video. Quick shout out, I've been to both the Stenning show recently, which was really good, and the weekend I went to the East Grinstead show, that was very good. Big shout out to the guy with the looped 8 N-gauge American layout. Sorry, I didn't catch your name, which is very rude of me, but thank you very much for the kind words and the support. So back to the layout. So what we've got here is the track is now down, and it's down on cork. That's very unusual for me. I had to buy something new, but I bought some cork sheet. I didn't have anything that I could use. I'm not really sure that you need cork. It's the old thing about insulation. I'm not sure it sound insulates much by the time you put hard ballast on it. But it's what's available. In fact, it was much cheaper for a change to buy the model railway items than, say, cork tiles. So relatively simple, cut to size, glued down. The track is all second-hand. In fact, it's kind even describing it as second-hand, because some of it is very much third or fourth-hand. There really isn't anything wrong with second-hand track. I don't care. I know a lot of other people are giving me stick over it. Yes, I did have a bit of a problem here. I changed the point. I thought it might be the point, and it turned out to be the fish plates on that bit of track. Changed the fish plates, and I used second-hand fish plates, and it worked fine. So yes, second-hand track, you might need to clean it and you might need to change the odd fish plate, but the whole of this layout is built with second-hand. In fact, it's about fifth-hand track. Bit of a clean. I do use Pico points. I wouldn't recommend using, I personally don't get on with Hornby points even new. The only point I've ever had break at an exhibition was a new Hornby point, and I don't think they survive terribly well second-hand. Pico's a completely different ball game. I did on this track make sure that I did use nickel silver. There's only, I think, one tiny bit of steel at the end, at that end. Just because it does run a bit better. It doesn't need as much cleaning as the steel track. I've pinned it down just using track pins. And then I've got some ballast coming, which I got cheap on eBay, a job lot of a kind of brownie beige, which I think will look quite good. So what I would have done if this was going to be grey, I would have, let me just scan over here a bit, I would have either painted under the points grey or actually used grey ballast mat, because what I don't like doing is getting ballast anywhere near the point blades. And in fact, if you put something under the track that is very similar to the ballast you're going to use, then it really doesn't notice much. Now also, while we're looking at these, see if I can zoom in without cutting myself out. I will be doing wiring tube, so I've got to fit that. And what I've done through here is I've cut the sleeper away underneath so I can run the rod under here. Now I've done a couple of what were very popular videos on wiring tube. When you think about it, if you use an electric motor, let's shrink back in a bit, you'd flick a switch here, and the point would change. Using a rod, I'm going to do that and the point will change. So the time and the movement's exactly the same, but I don't have any of the complexity or expense of having to put point motors in. And having last Friday at the Sompting Club with Richard, hi Richard, spent an evening fitting point motors, which was quite a challenge. It's a good thing I'm going to do point motors on this one. I am really enjoying doing a layout with a group of people at a club. It's a real team effort. We had a point play up the other day, and I can't remember all the ins and outs of it. I was going to run through it all. But basically, between four of us, we were able to fix it. I had one idea and somebody had another idea. And it's really good because when you're making model railways on your own, it tends to be a bit insular. You tend to do what you want to do, or you tend to, if you come up against a problem, you're sometimes a bit stuffed. And it's amazing how quickly you can solve things when there's 3 or 4 of you bodging it and pushing through. And then this also gives you a nice idea of what the layout will be. So we're going to have a loading dock and a cattle dock there. Typically, I sold, when I was clearing all my OO stuff, I cleared a really nice cattle dock. I sold it, so I'm going to have to get another one. But I still got my coal yard from another layout, and I've got the buildings. These are the very good resin ones from any scale models. Which they've done actually for war games and things, but they paint up really nice. So it's just a little station. This end, as I discussed in the last video, I'm going to put a hill in and a hill, but I may do one of the layouts at East Grinstead had a really nice road down with some buildings behind it. So I'm almost certainly going to do that in there. Now, yes, I could put a siding in here. 2 problems with it from my perspective. One is that you would then have to put a second lot of wires in. Not a big problem, but it means you'd have to put a switch in if you wanted to isolate it, if you wanted to hold a loco on it. And also because in recent years I've become very much of wanting it to be the railway and the landscape. And I do feel with OO sometimes, and even sometimes N, we fill the board full of track because we can. And that's great operationally, I guess. But actually it doesn't add a lot operationally, and I want to see the layout more in the landscape, part of the landscape. So that's why I've done that. So enough talk just for a second. Let's just run the loco up and down. Might have to change a few points to do that. And all I've done to test the track is just this. Put a loco on, change the points, and make sure that it will run smoothly and without any electrical issues over the various sidings and head shunts. And that's how I found out that I'd got a problem over the back. Yes, I did have to lift all the track, which I did use some bad language, but actually it only took me 10 minutes to lift the track, find out the problem was the fish plates. I changed the point anyway because the other point was a bit grubby. And that's all I need to do. I'm not going to go to town cleaning the track because I've got to ballast it anyway, and it'll need a really good clean once it's ballasted. I haven't ballasted a OO layout for a great many years. We did our first ever layout was ballasted, which was quite good fun. And then I did one in the conservatory which overheated and all broke. And after that, I've never done it. I've done it a couple of times in N and quite liked the look. So that's why I thought I'd have a go in OO. I'm pleased with the track plan of this. Those of you that watched the earlier video, I want to keep it simple. I just want somewhere to run my now very much reduced collection of OO. So that then brings us to what I was going to show you for the Cato. And that's this. So Matthew at Shunting Club very kindly, because I had printer issues and I haven't got a laminator, I photographed all the wagons. Matthew very kindly printed and laminated them for me. So I've got cards. Now you've got actually a bit of reflection there. So let's just move the camera slightly. But you get the idea. So I can store the cards here, and then that's the consist that I want to do. And then that's very much for when I'm using it at home, but particularly for the show in May at Shunting. And I've also been invited now to the Pevensey one later in the year, which is great. And the idea is that people will be able to have a go at shunting themselves. So this is just a simple stand. It's actually been made out of some laminate flooring and some cardboard. Simple as that. But there you go. It's what you do. It's a shunting puzzle. So the idea is that you use the goods yard up here takes 9 wagons. So you use 9 visually very different wagons. I'm not a fan of this business of, particularly on UK layouts, using 6 brown box wagons and painting or sticking a number on the top. I much prefer to use 9 or 10 really different locomotives, wagons. So I'm just struggling a bit here because I've got the big tripod underneath me. And then it's nice and easy because you've got an image and away you go. I'd got an idea for this, and I saw somebody at a show recently who'd made a simple stand like this, and I thought, yeah, actually, that'll work really well. So the Kato layout's coming along. I've just today painted up a little tractor and trailer that I got on eBay, a little 3D printed one, which will look quite nice. I've got a few more figures coming and some cars to put on. I have got the light rigged up at that end, so I just need to do the same for the other end. And then I'm calling that done. The exhibition might not be until May, but a big building project in our house. We're having the conservatory ripped out and the back of the house remodelled. And we may lose all the power down the garden. So, and that's happening in 10 days' time. So I needed to get this finished in case I lose all my power down here and can't test anything before the show. So this is pretty much 9/10 done. And ready for the something show in May. A lot of you have said you're coming, which is wonderful. I look forward to seeing you all. So there we go. Been quite busy with the model railways. Been busy with DIY as well, getting ready for the build. But the shed is working really well. Having this big space with a bench, a desk to work at, and a couple of benches to put things on. It is really working well. As long as I can keep it tidy and not too cluttered. It is cluttered underneath the benches, but it's all tucked out of the way, so it doesn't really matter. That down there is largely DIY and some old plastic kits. That's model railways, and this is model railways. But it's yeah, it's working really well. I'm pleased I've finally done it. I probably should have done it about a year ago. But it has given me a good home for the model railways. So as always, thank you very much for watching. I'll do updates on the OO. Updates as I do things. And as always, thank you very much for the comments and the support. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon.